All right, what's up, guys? It is Fantasy Fling. We are doing a live draft on Drafters, so this is going to be fun. It's a $55 shark, and I have the first pick. So, stoked about it. Let's go ahead and get into it.
Welcome to the Fantasy Fling DFS channel. Take a break from the season-long commitment and join us for all things daily fantasy sports. DraftKings Daily Drafts, the newest and hottest DFS deals, and all the best ball and DFS content you can handle. All right, let's dive headfirst into this episode.
Are doing the daily drafts over on Drafters. And about 20 seconds away, I got the first pick. So this was a small field GPP, only 100 entries, and it's $55 entry fee. So first place gets $1,200. Love this type of payout. Obviously, the large field GPPs are fun, but for DFS contests, whether you're on Owner's Box or DraftKings or FanDuel, wherever it may be, you're typically going to want to play these smaller contests to be profitable, and drafters and underdog daily drafts are no different. So these are much easier to win. That's why I like these type of contests. And really, I feel like Christian McCaffrey is the top play on the entire slate. So that's exactly why I went where I did with Christian McCaffrey in this one. So there's four people, right? So 4 entries in this contest, and then there's 6 rounds, and then on this draft specifically, and then of course there's going to be 100 people in this tournament. So I got to take down 99 other people. Much easier to do than trying to take down 5,000 or 10,000 in one of these. So went Christian McCaffrey, Lamar Jackson, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. So really no surprises there. And want to definitely break down this entire slate. So just did an underdog draft that's also on the channel. Wanted to go live for this one since it's one of the bigger ones, one of the harder ones to win. But real quick, want to go over to DFS Army, the Domination Station. This is what I use typically to build my lineups for DraftKings, for FanDuel. But regardless, what's really good about this tool is it's going to show you the projections. So one away. So we'll get back to that in a second. So it went Amon-Ra, Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, Ray Rice, and Travis Kelce. So I actually don't mind going Brock Purdy. What about Kittle? Is Kittle still there? I'm going to go Brock Purdy and Kittle here. So I'm really focusing on the stack of San Francisco. And so I was able to start with Christian McCaffrey, then came back around, reached a little bit on Kittle, but when you're picking on the ends, that's kind of what you have to do. And yeah, this is a stack that I like. You can stack Brock Purdy with Christian McCaffrey because Christian McCaffrey gets so many targets. You got 12 last week. And really, when we're looking at this game total, and this is what I'm saying with DFS Army, you get all the projections here, which is great. And it's really good, even for daily drafts, just being able to see the projections and what most of the field is going to be on, because it's going to be the same in these drafts. But the top game on the slate, we got San Fran with a 29.75 implied team total. And that game is 52. So that's a game that I think can really shoot out. And so I got Christian McCaffrey. I only need one running back. I probably don't need to take another one. I really need to focus on wide receivers here, and it's looking pretty slim. So I'm going to go with Bateman. And Josh Reynolds on the other side. So this is the game that you're really looking to target. 52.5 implied team total. Kansas City and Baltimore. This is the other game. It's a lower game total, but these have 2 elite quarterbacks, so this game could really go off. It's just really tough to say. Of course, both those defenses are really good, so I could definitely see that playing to the under. On the other side of that coin, you have Detroit, who has a pretty poor defense in the secondary. So that is why I wanted to target Christian McCaffrey. That's why I wanted Purdy. That's why I wanted Kittle. Both in Ayuk and Debo were gone. So those are some of the sacrifices you have to make. So let's see how this draft is kind of going. And then, we'll kind of finish this up with just overall good plays that I like on the slate. So after I took, I went Purdy, Kittle, then I went Pacheco, Gibbs, Laporta, Goff, Andrews, Flowers, Bateman, and then I took Reynolds. And then it went Justice Hill, Gus Edwards, David Montgomery, and Jamison Williams. So I'm a couple picks away. One away now. Do I want to take Beckham, who hardly was involved last week? Not really. It doesn't feel good. There's nothing I like about it. Isaiah Likely. This is my last pick of the draft. So I do think I'm going to take MVS. So in addition to the Purdy, to Christian McCaffrey, to Kittle with the Josh Reynolds bring back, I got a little ping pong stack here of Bateman and MVS. I think these guys can be the high upside, high variance players that you need to win a tournament. And, these are guys that are getting targets every week. So this lineup really trying to just be carried by Christian McCaffrey and Purdy and Kittle. Josh Reynolds has a pretty high floor. The ceiling isn't super high, but I think it could be a decent direct leverage play off of Amon-Ra, who everyone is all over this week. I'm really more likely to eat running back chalk and try to get a little more contrarian at wide receiver, because wide receiver chalk fills more often than running back chalk. So like Christian McCaffrey in this spot, hopefully we'll do quite well. In fact, I do have a team in the Best Ball Championship that is looking pretty good. So, kind of built this one, and this is a live draft I actually did a couple weeks ago. But with this one, what we got was KC and Detroit. Of course, it won't let me scroll. Okay, so KC and Detroit Super Bowl is what I built for. So if Kansas City and Detroit both advance, this lineup is in a really good spot. I got Mahomes. Clyde Edwards-Helaire was kind of the guy that I picked as a lotto ticket, because Pacheco had been kind of banged up. So if Pacheco does end up, having that toe bother him tomorrow and he misses a game, that's going to be the lotto ticket guy that I would need to climb up the leaderboards. But really, this lineup was Mahomes and Kelsey. And then on the other side, we had Jared Goff, Jahmyr Gibbs. This has Debo Samuel, so that'll really help me advance into the finals, with a good amount of points, even if San Fran loses, which, I don't expect, but this lineup was built for Detroit to advance. So I had Goff, Gibbs, Amon-Ra, and Laporta. So if KC and Detroit both advance, this lineup is going to be doing quite well. I looked at all the spots ahead of me, and only a handful of people, 3 to 4 people, had 600 PMR left, as I do in this lineup. So we'll see how that goes. I'm excited, but we'll see how it goes. But so yeah, I'll just kind of pause this over at the top here for the game toss. I want to run through the slate real quick. I do think the top play on the slate at quarterback is going to be Lamar Jackson. He has the highest ceiling on the slate. And, even in a tough matchup against KC secondary, like we saw last week, he went for 100 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. So I think Lamar can get there just on running ability. In fact, my underdog draft, Lamar kind of fell to me, so I took him. Plan on taking Purdy. Lamar fell to me and ran him naked out there, unstacked. So, I love Lamar's potential. Purdy is a guy, as you just saw, I drafted I like the most. I really like stacking him the most with Ayuk or Kittle. So to get Kittle was, one that I was real happy about. But those are the top 2 guys for me. I think Mahomes could get there just on Mahomes magic, which we've seen so many times. Don't love Goff. I would like Goff more on like DraftKings or FanDuel, where salary is in consideration. I think if you could take Purdy, you just take Purdy or Mahomes if you miss out on Lamar Jackson. So at running back, Christian McCaffrey, it's so easy for me. He's averaging 26 points. He has a 26-point projection over at DFS Army, by the way. And for good reason, because that's what he's averaging every week, over 18 weeks, over 20 weeks, really, or 19 rather. And he's getting 23 opportunities per game the past 4 games. So the volume is too good. You look at the other options, I just don't see how he's not one of the top 2 running backs in the winning lineup. Isaiah Pacheco is the other guy who's averaging over 20 opportunities, who I love, but he does have a little bit of a toe injury. So that concerns me just a little bit. But Baltimore, they are much easier to run on than pass on. So I expect Isaiah Pacheco to get the bulk of the carries. As long as he's active, I'm playing him. He's averaging 19 points per game. And then after there, it gets really muddy. Gibbs and Montgomery are in a tough matchup. They're in a timeshare. But I prefer Gibbs because he gets passing game work. He's been getting about 4 receptions and 40 yards per game. So, PPR formats, that's 8 points. I'll go with that. Montgomery, I don't like him as much. He has the opportunity to get the goal line carries and end up in the winning lineup. But other than that, tough matchup in a timeshare, not getting passing game work. Don't like it. Gus Edwards was kind of the same for me. I prefer Justice Hill. He got 13 carries last week, also getting passing game work. And that's about it. And then at wide receivers, it's Amon-Ra St. Brown, who I like the most. In fact, stop sharing the screen here. I like him the most. I also like Brandon Ayuk. Amon-Ra is getting like 14 targets per game, which is not per game, but what's what he saw last week. And he's getting anywhere from 9 to 14. So I think he's averaging about 20, 22 points per game in PPR formats. So yeah, Amon-Ra, I think he's the most consistent wide receiver on the slate, most targets, most yards. I love him. But in this matchup, I really like Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk. Deebo, he's going to play. He has high upside. He actually has a 3rd best odds to score multiple touchdowns on this slate. So I like me some Deebo Samuel. I like Brandon Ayuk in this spot. Against man, which the Lions, they run man a lot, and they're actually 17th worst in the league against man coverage. Well, Ayuk's been a man killer. He's averaged 90.9 PFF score. I think this is a smash spot for Ayuk. He is the guy that I like the most receiving-wise on San Fran. But if you're looking to draft him, you're going to have to do it by the end of the first round because or beginning of the second, depending on how big your draft is, because he is going early. Rashee Rice, I like him. Bounce back this week. He's got 1,100 yards on the season. Down week last week. MBS was beneficiary. I expect him to bounce back a little bit. Zay Flowers, he would be the number 1 guy that I would target with Baltimore. But I don't love him because the ceiling isn't that high. But, if you wait a little bit on a wide receiver, I think you could definitely grab Zay Flowers. And then, there's your dart throats. Odell Beckham, they wanted to save him for the playoffs. Usage was concerning last week. Didn't love him. Aguilar did really well considering what he got. I mean, he only got 4 targets and dropped 2 of them. He had 12 yards. So unless he gets a touchdown, he's going to crash your lineup. The guy that I like that you saw me draft, Jameson Williams, he is a guy that is a deep threat. So, and in fact, actually, I think I drafted him earlier, one of the drafts I did. But Jameson Williams, he's a guy that if he gets a long touchdown, he's probably going to be in the winning lineup. And he definitely gets targeted on these. So he's definitely a late round GPP play. Josh Reynolds is the guy I drafted. So in the 4, he's pretty cheap, and you can get him. He's cheap in like DraftKings and FanDuel. And then if you're doing daily drafts, you can get him late. So, and he's got a pretty decent floor. And specifically, if Amon-Ra does fail, it's probably going to be because guys like Josh Reynolds or Laporta get all the touchdowns. So I like that leverage with Reynolds. And then, it starts the rest of the way. But as far as tight ends, I love the tight ends on this slate. If you In fact, I did a draft earlier on Underdog, which is on the channel. You can check that out. And I was able to get both Laporta and Kelce in the same draft. So I love both of them. Kittle is the guy I like the most, probably, given the matchup. He has the highest projection via DFS Army. And by the way, DFS Army, I know it's the end of the NFL season, but DFS Army covers a lot of content for all sports, NBA, NHL, PGA, MMA. So if you like to play on DraftKings, you like to play on FanDuel, we've got you covered. We got NASCAR coming up. We got Formula One. So you can use code FantasyFling for 10% off a VIP subscription. Gets you access to the optimizer, which shows the projections, ownership, numbers, best fantasy points per dollar play. You could build a bunch of lineups for DraftKings. This gets you access to a Proptimizer, the cheat sheets, research station, all the tools. So use code FantasyFling for 10% off a VIP subscription. I'll put that in the video as well. But yeah, so he has the best. Kittle had the best projection for DFS Army in the domination station. He also had a perfect 100 rating. And then, after the Laporta and Kelce are the other two guys that I'm really looking to target. KC, if they have any chance to win this game, it's going to be like last week. They need to lean on Kelce. Baltimore runs a lot of zone, and Kelce is really good at breaking off, finding those soft spots in the zone. And, Mahomes looks for that, and he could have a big game. Laporta, he got 11 targets last week. I expect them to be passing a lot. They could be down, need 40-plus attempts to win. So I like Laporta again this week. And then Andrews is kind of he's a GPP ticket for me in this spot. It's a mystery how healthy he's going to be, how much he's going to play, but we know what his ceiling is with Lamar. So I like taking a shot for Mark Andrews late, but I think that's going to do it, guys. Thank you for joining me. Best of luck this week. Like I said, drafters, they're running. I did that shark draft just now, but they are running several drafts for this slate. And stay tuned to the channel because I'm going to be, we'll potentially be doing another podcast next week if Underdog and drafters have some contests for the Super Bowl. So not next week, 2 weeks from now for the Super Bowl. I will cover that. Also on this channel, we'll be covering a lot of best ball content. This offseason, I'm also going to be doing some UFL content because I love playing UFL on DraftKings. Just really fun. The XFL and the USFL merged, and it's just a really good time to pass the spring before we get into really heavy into best ball content and then NFL preseason, regular season. So we got so much more coming your way. Stay tuned to the channel. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification button so you don't miss an episode when we go live. So best of luck this week. Let's win some money.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to smash that like button and subscribe. You know you don't want to miss what's coming next. We really